Good evening, everyone. It's roundtable question time. How are we all doing? I haven't got the theme tune tonight, so you'd have to miss out on that. We've got some wonderful guests for you tonight. The National Board, there they all are, appearing on the screen there. I don't know if you want to introduce yourself, fellas, or save me going around and trying to remember what you each do in table. But if you'd like to go ahead and let us know who's here, probably better off starting with Mr. National President up there, Mr. Thompson.
Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Paul. My name is Paul Thompson. I am this year's National President of Roundtable Great Britain and Ireland, hailing all the way from the sunny fishing village of Hartlepool by the sea.
Excellent. And Mr. Past President?
Good evening, everyone. My name's Matt Eaton. I am an Essex boy from Colchester Cone 842, Britain's oldest recorded town, the original capital of Britain. Unfortunately, we don't have a number 50 bus like Chris Marshall, so I'm very jealous. But my role this year is to make tea for the National Board, and I think I excel at this job.
Perfect. We've got next on the list, Honorary National Secretary down there. Hello.
Hi, gents. Thank you, Paul, or David Dimbleby, as it appears you're known as. Steve Eccles, your Honorary National Secretary from Great Dunmow 768, home of Bringing Home the Bacon in Essex.
Perfect. So, and then we've got our Honorary National Treasurer from Midlands there. Hello there, Honorary.
Thanks, David. Chris Marshall here, your Honorary National Treasurer from the beautiful cosmopolitan city of Birmingham with more canals than Venice, from Jewellery Quarter 1773.
Thank you very much, Chris. And next on my list, I've got International Relationships Officer over there. Ian, why don't you introduce yourself?
Hello there, Ian Richardson, sitting in sunny Northwich, but home of the salt mines, but member of Warrington 74, home of the Wire.
National Community Officer over there, Mr. Collins.
Good evening, gentlemen. Alan Collins from Coventry 23. As we're all sharing interesting facts about our city, Coventry has also been a capital of England, and we are a fine motoring city as well. So home of the motor car and, of course, the beautiful Jaguar.
Awesome. Thank you very much. We've also got our National Media Officer, Mr. Bookman, down there. Bookman, down.
Hello, everyone. I'm Liam Borkham, the National Communications Officer, and I'm based in Royston, which I don't really know much about because I've only lived there a few months.
Any relation to Royston Vasey?
Going on the locals, maybe.
Perfect. Okie doke. And finally, we've got our National Programme and Retention Officer, Dodd, down the bottom there. Hello to me, anyway.
Evening, all. George Stewart from Ellenham District 1153. Proud Chuchter up in the north of Scotland. The town with probably the shortest Wikipedia page on the planet. Fuck all interest in Hammond.
And just so you know, I'm Paul Bryant from Tamworth Roundtable, former capital of Mercia, not anymore though, and Area 35 over in the Midlands. We're missing a couple of people tonight. We're missing Mr. Matt Fallon, your National Vice President. He's not here tonight. Who else we're missing here? We're missing Mr. Derek Colley, National Events Officer, and Mr. Andrew Thorne, the National Membership and Extension Officer. Apologies from those tonight, but I'm sure we've got the quality here over the quantity, and that's exactly what we're looking for tonight. I think, first of all, starting off, we've got Mr. Alan Collins here. He's new to the board, and it's his first year. He's a few months into the job. How are you finding life on the board? Is it different to what you expected, harder, new ideas coming out? What's it like now you're on the national board?
It's like being somebody said to me a few years ago, it's like being an extension of your own table. And it pretty much is. You get all the same insults via WhatsApp. You get the even more so from the chairman or the president in this case. But yeah, it's just it kind of is an extension of your own table of guys who just want to do maybe a little bit more than what their own local table allows them to do. It's great fun. Yeah. Anybody stand up and do it.
Perfect. And you were offering, it was a contented, I can't even think of the word, but you were up against other people to stand there, and you had to come up with your policies and sell yourself to everyone. And obviously people chose you. How are you finding your promises and how translated into what you can actually do? How are you finding that at the moment?
Yeah, it cost me an absolute fortune. The bank balance took a right hit to buy all those votes. That's a joke, by the way. No, I mean, one thing that that Paul has been quite strict on, is it strict the right way to say it, is basically holding each other to account, and putting the plans in place, and there's actually a list of things that we've all agreed that we are going to make happen, and we can be held to account on that, by the reps, by the members. And it's a very good way of doing it, because like you say, it does actually give you that focus that there's things need doing, and it keeps your mind focused on it. I mean, we're all busy people, we've all got lives outside the table and stuff like that, but having that plan there does actually give you that extra push when you need it.
Exactly, it's a voluntary role, but again, you put yourself forward to something, so it's nice to. It'd be a shame to waste that opportunity, wouldn't it? So it's great to see you're running at that. People at home, by the way, are watching here. I've been asking for questions during the day, and obviously in the past, people have been asking for questions. But if you have got any questions now and you haven't sent any in, then drop them in the comments below. I'll be keeping an eye in there just to see if there's anything we can come up with. But I've got a good few questions to be getting on with anyway. But just a quick one, Mr. Matt Eaton there, past president, and obviously, you know, what in a tabler's life, the sometimes the peak of what they're doing is, you know, national president role, and it's probably something people aspire to and then choose the year to do it. And you had that year, the COVID year. Looking back now, you know, was it good? You got to still spend time with the family, work from home, but on the other side, do you feel there's a miss? You know, did you miss your opportunity there? Do you think, you know, how you feel looking back?
I think anybody that stands for any role in round table, be it your table chairman role or area chairman, regional rep, or national president or national board, I think you have to tackle the issues that are in front of you and given to you at that particular moment in time, and don't fuss about whether you've been dealt a good hand or not, right? So you know, I think yeah, I mean, it's we will go back to it time and time again, really, that there is you know, there's a huge amount of privilege, you know, leading an organization that was looking out for their communities and their neighbors and their tablers, and you can't ask any more than that. And I think I said in my incoming speech as national president, my goal was to get everybody through it healthy and in one piece. And you know, that's not just kind of physical health, that's mental health, and you know, looking out for one another and creating that culture of friendship. And you know, I think you know, you can always hope, but it's ultimately down to, you know, tables and tablers responding and picking up the baton and doing that. So it's always an honour to serve, and it's always an honour to serve no matter what level of, you know, you are in round table. It's it always feels the same. But you know, I'll go back to where I started my answer to you, is you tackle what's in front of you as in life as well. So had a fantastic year, and thank you for asking, David.
Brilliant. Yeah, I'm glad you did. You know, it's important you look back at it and you've got that behind you now, and you've got that down, and you've done that sort of thing, and you know, it's really great for standing up. And Mr. Thompson, obviously you spent a year as vice president doing that same year. Do you feel that there's an extra thing on you this year to actually pull Roundtable along behind you, or do you just feel that, no, I've got my idea, I'm going for that, or is there an extra responsibility on you, do you think?
All of everything you've just said. I think Matt summed it up beautifully there, that it was probably when both of us started our journeys to run for VP, it was never ever the president or the VP's year that we would have wanted. But as Matt said, it was the year that we were dealt with, and equally it was the year that tables were dealt with as well. It's not just about the president, the vice president, and the members of the board. You know, I'm so proud of tables up and down the country, including your own as well, Paul. You know, I remember interviewing Richard on Radio Roundtable and talking about the great work that Tamworth had done with the Shields appeal and the face shields. But that was replicated up and down the country, and you know that. Matt in his year as president and me as vice president, we were part of a leadership team of 3,000 men up and down this country that really pulled together for their communities. And, you know, that's obviously inspired the theme of this year's Rooted in Community. But in terms of moving into this year, I mean, tables are just really running at it at the minute, and you know, they went from serving their community to doing even more for their community now. And some of the events that I've been to over the last month, the one thing that I hear again and again and again is people who live in those communities who are walking up the tablers and saying thank you for doing this for us, thank you for everything that you've done over the last year. It's great to see you guys out, and you know, thanks for putting on one hell of a show for us. I felt a little bit of a fraud in Saffron Walden and in Tettenhall recently, where people were coming up to me and saw the Roundtable logo on top of my shirt and were thanking me for all of the great work that I'd done in their local community. And you know, you lap it up and you say, you know, oh, thank you very much, you know, the boys will appreciate it. But thank you. That's the phrase that just kept coming through again and again and again. You know, and tables deserve that.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And he touched on like a lot of tables thriving during that period. And there's always the worry. And it was the worry of me at the very beginning of lockdown was, is table going to survive through this? Are we, as you know, I was thinking of my own particular table, are we going to survive through this? Because if at first we're not meeting up, the lifeblood of our group is the social. Are we actually going to get through the other side here? And we as a table, we think we thrive through it. We had differences previously that we worked out during this time, and we thrive, but other tables perhaps not so. And so one of the questions that started, you know, it's the main one on a lot of people's lips, with the AMRs coming in, how is table looking numbers wise going forward? Has this taken the big hit that we were worried about, or?
I mean, we've got to be honest with ourselves, Paul, and you know, we talk about being open and transparent. I've got some of the membership figures that Andrew very kindly sent across to me this afternoon, and since the beginning of April, we've had 136 new tablers join Roundtable across GB and I. But we have taken a little bit of a hit. You know, there has been some tables who've not been as successful during the last year, and there are a number of tables who are still yet to submit their AMRs. So we don't really know the true reflection of what's going on there. Is it a case of those tables have ceased to be, of those tables looking to do something when they come back together, maybe a little bit later in the year? Are those tables really feeling maybe a little bit down with the National Association? Is there a little bit more that we can do to reach out to them to bring them back into the fold? So we're hovering at the minute at about 2,900 members, because obviously there's always a lot of guys age out every year, a couple of hundred that age out. But between some of the regional reps and our national honorary treasurer and our national membership officer and Matt Fallon, you know, there's a lot of phones getting picked up at the minute, Paul. There's a lot of people being spoken to, and you know, and equally, you know, that I've spoken to a number of those tables as well to find out what the root and underlying problem is. And in some cases, it's, you know, we're going to come back with a vengeance in September. We need to get the September the summer holidays out the way. We'll come back in a vengeance in September, and we'll hit the ground running. But we haven't gone anywhere. And you know, but sadly there are at least a couple of tables who we do honestly believe are folded this year.
And something you touched on that, you know, that is a shame there. But as I say, there's still like some healthiness there, you're thinking, and obviously we've got this year to regroup and move forward. You've touched on one bit, part of a question I'm going to ask in a moment, so I'll throw it in now, is there's a lot of people picking up the phones at the moment. And a question that came in is, retaining members has been possibly a problem over the last year or so, maybe. Any thoughts on what we can do to help those tables, or in fact, any advice to those tables who have had members slip through the net and have gone quiet? And obviously you've given a good answer there. Starts off with is the picking up the phone, and that's probably the strongest. But anyone want to come in on that? Perhaps data retention, or you know, anything. Sorry, just on about retaining members that are falling, probably slipped through the net. It's gone a bit quiet in table at the moment, and any thoughts, as well as just picking up the phone, to how tables can deal with that situation, or perhaps areas can deal with that situation to help.
Yeah, you can either pick up the phone and ask for help, or if you know of a table that needs help, pick up the phone and help them.
I think
another good. Sorry,
sorry, Matt, you go.
No, Mr. President, you must go first.
No, I'm more than happy for you to go.
Okay, no, but I think,
I
mean, it's actually my table's business meeting tonight, and part of what they're doing is actually looking, you know, as a lot of tables did in the pandemic, to see what other people are doing on Facebook, and you know, there's some cracking ideas out there. And I'm pretty certain in the next couple of weeks it will all be paddleboarding, or canoeing, or something like that, or just doing some mini golf and just stuff like that while the weather's really good. But I think there's actually a real thirst for people to kind of to come out and meet up and just have a beer in the sunshine, you know. So we are at a harder community and friendship organisation. So but yeah, I personally,
the thing that attracted them in the first place is now reappearing again, and perhaps last year the thing that they wanted about table wasn't there. Perhaps that they're seeing that again, and perhaps again just that coupled with picking up the phone and just making sure people are happy just to meet up and see each other face to face again. We found that quite successful. But if anyone else, I could move on from there.
Paul, I think Matt Eaton summed it up quite nicely last year in some of the words that he said about Roundtable being as relevant now as it ever been, if not more relevant. And I think coming out of this pandemic now, those tables that were active during the pandemic and active on social media, and I can only speak for my own table, we've seen a massive uptake in people being interested in joining Roundtable, joining us. We had an evening sort of barbecue on our recreation ground a few weeks ago, and it was really positive. You looked around and you thought, this is the next generation of Roundtable. You know, we had 7 or 8 guys came along for a barbecue and just chatting in the park, and it was great. You know, you sort of looked around. I've been in table for quite a few years now, and it was just great to see. So I think coming out of the pandemic offers a great opportunity for tables to pick up the phone, to start talking to people and say, look, we got a load of manpower here to do these things, and we've started getting more active now as a table. We didn't really embrace Zoom, some tables did, some tables didn't, but now we're back. We had a business meeting. I was at a local school today talking about a community project we're going to do them, and it's really reignited and re-energized everybody to start getting involved in those sorts of things. So I think the opportunity is great. We've got to strike while the iron's hot.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm just thinking, following on from that, a question you might have seen already, any advice for people worried about being chairman for the next 12 months? You can throw in there to help that. Anyone got any advice for that?
I'll add something from personal experience, because I know where the question came from. I also deferred it from the AGM to this event. And I thought the one bit of advice that I gave my vice that took over from me in Hartlepool is never try to be the same person as your previous chairman. Always try and do it your own way. Okay, because a lot of people come into the chairman's role and they think, I've got to do this as good as the man who came before me, and I've got to do it as better, and I've got to repeat all of the things that he did. But the reality is, when people start to put themselves against someone else, that's when they start to fail. And actually, they've got to do things, as Frank Sinatra said, their own way. And they've got to do things in the style that they want to do it, and they've got to lead on the vision that they want to deliver for the year. And so I would say do it your own way. Do it the RHS way.
Perfect. Yeah, as I say, and those people at home who are looking at the moment and want to put some questions into us, just put it into the comments. We've had questions from Ilfracombe to Beeston. We've had them across the whole country, only from Ilfracombe and Beeston, I think.
So DJ and RHS then.
There's a couple on the YouTube chat.
Is that? I've got that. All right, I've got the Facebook chat I'm looking at here. So if you want to whack them into my message here, then that would really help me out. If anyone could do that.
Paul, can I just add one other thing though?
Yeah.
Just to take a slight step back to that previous question about what would you say to tables coming out of lockdown? How can we use that to grow tables? I think if we still, so he's not here tonight, but I know that if he was, Matt Fallon would be beating the drum around programme, as he did all the way through the VP elections. and repeat it to people that tables are as good as their program and they're as strong as their program. And if people put together a damn good program, it's a bit like Kevin Costner and Field of Dreams. You know, if we build it, people will come. And, and if we build a strong program, then guys will come.
Perfect.
Yeah, I had to step out very quickly when we were talking about growing tables. So we've got two things we're talking about tonight in our business meeting, which I'll just walk up to after this. First one, David Dim will be very interested to know we're thinking about doing or talking at least about the Spirit of Colchester Awards as a community offering, and kind of going to the theme of this year as well from our national president. But also, I think we're itching to do something community-wise as well. So I think that will be super awesome. And we've come up with this idea, which we've been working on for the last sort of 6-8 weeks. We have no idea whether we can actually make it work, but we're going to talk about it tonight, which is a community welcome pack. I think one of the big opportunities at the moment is with the pandemic, so many people have moved out of cities into market towns for a bit more space in their, back garden, etc. So it'll have, this is when your bins go out. These are some recommended tradespeople. This is these are some, useful local contact numbers. And actually, if you want to join a good, if you want to start, helping, contributing to your community and making some mates along the way, this contact detail of Round Table and this contact detail for Baby Circle. So we're just going to talk about that tonight, and just to kind of see if people will kind of really welcome this kind of this kind of approach, really. So
yeah.
See.
If you need any help with that Spirit of Colchester thing anyway, me and Sean are working with Area 35 this year. We're going to at least have the Spirit of Solihull done and a few others. But yeah, definitely we're here to help. I'm sure I'm talking on Sean's behalf here, but I'm sure we can help there. So let us know. Anyone got anything to add there? Or I think membership is where we had a lot of the things coming forward, and we've talked a lot about some of the things here. Let's just have a quick look through. Just a quick one to the treasurer. Well, I'll put the questions here. So post-COVID recovery ideas, perhaps using that impressive surplus of ours. Now, obviously, we've got to vote for a budget, and it's probably a bit more complex than saying, yeah, there's £100,000 to go there. But anything to put into there at all? Any using that surplus as a helping?
Well, we've actually reinvested probably about half the surplus, or coming up to half the surplus, in the early payment incentive.
Mm-hmm.
that had a strong take up. So that's pretty much half of that gone, and then the remaining part of the surplus, the board are discussing about other things that we can use to invest into the association to rather than just sit in reserves. So we are looking at things to make the experience better, and I think it's an adage that that Paul's brought on from previous boards of when the board looks to spend, it's not looking at a spend for spend's sake. It's, will it make members' experience better? Will it bring us new members? And we need to look at all of those options, but we're always open to ideas.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. And
Paul, on top of that, I'd just add that we as a team have put together a board plan for this year of various elements that we believe that will help grow the association, things that will help improve the experience for existing tablers, and things which will help the sustainability in the organisation's security. And all of those things, we're confident that will be covered under the existing budget we put together, and none of that will be requiring any dipping into the family wealth, if you like. But I think I would turn that back out to our membership as well and say, what ideas do you have in terms of membership growth that requires substantial investment? Billboards on the side of the M6 are not going to bring people into table, but if people have genuinely got ideas that we could use, then feed them into the relevant board member in the same way that the guys did in Area 36. And they said, we would like to put together a podcast, and we'd been talking about something very similar. We brought those ideas together, and for a very, very small investment, we've now got what is becoming a professional podcast that's being put out there to encourage new tablers, but also excite and re-engage existing tablers as well. So, you know, we just table as the same as everyone else. We don't have the golden cup of ideas. You know, if people have got ideas that they believe that some of our reserves or some of our budget spend should be put onto, then get in touch with the board member. Pick up the phone to myself. You know, I'm probably one of the most accessible people of all time because I throw my mobile number around like everyone's business. You know, I've rang every single new member and had a conversation with them, so they've got that number for future use. You know, just keep talking to us, keep telling us what your ideas are, keep telling us what your frustrations are, and we can see how we can resolve that. But, you know, yeah, that's
perfect. No, thank you very much for that. Talking about this as well as a 41 Club, is there anyone that's successfully here used the 41 Club to re-establish a table on their patch at the moment? Is there any advice you can give to someone? I think there was a tabler suggesting that Stephen suggested that perhaps he's got a 41 Club in an area that's no longer got a table. Any ideas for working with those?
There were some great initiatives in Area 33 a few years ago. Matt will recall, I think Matt may have been area chair, I think, when Bishop Stortford Roundtable came back to the fore, and Jim Smith and the 41 Club there was instrumental, Jason Thompson, in trying to reignite that table, and they've gone from strength to strength. So I think there's a massive role. I mean, we are 41 Club's only customer. I think they realise that, and I think that certainly some of the reps or the councillors for 41 Club have been keen to try and talk to tables, look at areas. I know Mark House certainly for Area 33 has been looking at where were round tables across Essex and Area 33 many years ago, and are they the places where you can engage with the 41 clubs to try and set something up. So with the support, like it was back in the day of sponsor or tables locally, you know, that was how tables were set up with area extension officers, etc.
Yeah, and I'll just add a little bit to that. So, you know, Jim Smith did an incredible job recharging that table, but also did an incredible job in understanding where his input was needed and when he then needed to step back and, you know, allow the table to kind of thrive and be, you know, and master its own destiny. And I think that's when it works really well. And actually another example really of where 41 clubs can be really effective is actually Mr. Secretary's own table in Great Dunmow, because they were a small table when I joined Round Table, and the 41 Club sort of stepped in. We really helped to encourage new members in, but it didn't kind of interfere too much. And when I was area chairman of Essex, they became the largest table in Essex, really. So sometimes, you know, it's not just about you know, trying the shiny new thing. Sometimes it's just about kind of eking out those results in some respects as well, and, you know, just making sure the importance of existing members going into 41 Club. So we've got a good 41 Club here in Colchester, and just making sure that people are, you know, committed to continuing the journey, really.
Yeah. Lovely, thank you for that. The last couple of questions on membership here. Someone asked, we used to get loads of inquiries through the website, but it's not happened for a while. Maybe they're not getting the inquiries, or is there any explanation, do you know, for that? So through the website, because we don't really get them through the website anymore, do we? Does someone want to just talk about how the website's used these days for those that are interested?
Yeah, I mean, others may wish to add. I mean, we went through a website refresh last year, and we're I can deal with it now, Paul, or later, but obviously we're looking at a long-term solution for the members site, and I was really pleased that the National Council unanimously supported that we'd explore the move to Tabler World. So it is something I'm acutely aware of. In the interim, we're monitoring contact through the website, through head office, and Andrew Thorne, as well as National Membership Officer, is monitoring those inquiries. And Andrew is actually taking an active role in contacting those guys directly, rather than those prospects just going on the system and sitting there. He's taken a really proactive role with support from Paul and from Matt Fallon as well, in particular, just to try and contact them, find out if they're genuine inquiries, and push the genuine inquiries through to those tables. So even though it might look to tables that we're not getting the number of inquiries through, those inquiries are coming through, but they're being filtered and making sure that we're sending them in the right direction.
Yeah.
And on top of that as well, Paul, look, there's a bit of a reality check here for tablers as well. There was lots and lots of prospects coming onto the old system, but tables were not following them up. You know,
Yeah.
or they'd send them an email and just say, "Oh, we'll meet next Friday. Do you want to pop along?" There wasn't that personal human touch. And you know, as one thing we've learned over the last 18 months, we all thrive off that personal human relationship, not somebody sending us a bland email that they probably cut and pasted 10 times over.
Yeah.
As Steve just said, Andrew's taken a huge proactive approach this year to speaking to every single person who puts in an inquiry, and that's having better results. You know, that's where it's come through that we may have a resurgence of a new table in Glasgow, which had folded some years ago. We've had a couple of inquiries to which was a table that looked like it was going to fold, and have now just been sent to new prospects. But live prospects, proper prospects, where people have engaged with them, they've told them the full roundtable story, and it's been handed over properly, rather than just, we're meeting next Friday, do you want to walk into an open bar and meet a lot of random strangers? That isn't as personal. So, you know, we broke it ourselves, and now we're taking a different approach.
I think the other thing to add, Paul, as well, one of the key features that tablers may or may not have seen is, you know, we wanted to try and keep the website update relatively simple, just to sell what Roundtable is about. But the one thing that we did do is there is a directory where we've linked, you know, people can search for tables. It was on there before, but didn't work very well. That's actively updated now, links through to contact email addresses, Facebook pages, etc. So that because tables don't come through national to find a table, you know, they see table because they see what they're doing in the communities. So if we can give the links through to their Facebook page, website, contact email, whatever it might be, those guys can find their local table and go through and contact them.
I think it goes back to program again, though, doesn't it? I mean, to use an example of Skinflint Rally is the picture behind me there. I've got a team of 6 guys from Carlisle booked in who are not tablers, who I think 5 of them went to an event that Cockermouse put on last week. It was a free event. I think it was slacklining in a local park, but they give them free beer, free food. And 5 of these lads went along, and they're now talking about opening a table in Carlisle, and they've just signed up to one event that they were interested in.
Well, that's an interesting. I think we've had a question as well, and that relates to that. Is this feeder club thing? Like, you know, we age out into 41 club. We've got a question of where do the feed into table? Now you've come with a great example there, where 5 blokes have been enthused by table. We've got them along now. Groups like the Young Farmers and the Young Navy. Now I remember, and I think Chris Bush was a part of this, if I remember correctly. But there was a Young Farmers thing a few years ago, and we got them along to NSW. And I think the problem was, I think they felt we were a little bit old at the time. Where, you know, perhaps there was a lot of people there. I can't remember the exact details, and it just sort of fizzled out a little bit from what I remember. I don't think I was even on the council then. But is there any work that you know of going on around that, or is that it's just what someone's asked? Any thoughts on that at all? Is anyone working on that? Nope. Okay.
Yes. Well, I mean, I guess with feeder clubs, you know, I've been on the national board for quite some time, and there's been lots of projects, and some work, some don't. You know, I think the work of Joel Keeble in Area 6 and Young Farmers has been really good. Other work in the Young Farmers around the country is, you know, it kind of always goes up and down. And I think to a certain extent, Mr. President said, you know, kind of flip it on its head a bit. You know, sometimes relying on feeder clubs, you're as strong as your weakest link, because they have their own membership problems, and they have their own focus. And, you know, I think actually finding good avenues in your own community events and your own social media and your own community routes is you know, that is actually, you know, the main feeder into your own tables, really. You know, I remember going to my first ever national council meeting. I think you were probably a national council then, Mr. Dimbleby, you know, the university feeder clubs and so on and so forth. And, you know, these things become in my opinion, a little bit more fragmented, really. And I just think it's mainly around having just confidence in what you're offering the community and what you can offer potential tablers. I think if you get that right, that's the first part to really think of, and then it becomes attractive to feeder clubs, but more importantly, as a direct model of recruitment, really.
I suppose that's a local thing as well as it's local. If I look around Tamworth and think there's a young farmers around here, there's a young navy, maybe we can start making that connection ourselves. We don't need it to be a national thing. Perhaps it's just a suggestion that these clubs exist and have a go, football teams, whatever it might be. To wrap up this membership section then, Sean's asked the question, have we got a realistic target to go through? It's something we're going to aim for post-COVID September. We're currently at about 2,900. Is there a particular target you're going for, or?
Yes, the moon and back, Paul. The moon and back. No, I think the reality is, I think every year the board aspires to have net growth. And every year we do lose some tablers, because there's one thing that none of us can avoid, and that's growing old. So we lose a couple of hundred tablers every year. We're inspired by this year's start. The Sunday afternoon when I sat down the Saturday afternoon when I sat down and thought, right, I'm gonna ring every new tabler, and printed off a list of 110 in the first month or two, and I was like, wow, this is going to be a long couple of days. It was a great couple of days, but a long couple of days. We're inspired by a good start, but the reality is, I think this year we're following on from our Annus Horribilis, and we've got to really see how the year pans out. If we can end it in a position where we're looking at 3-1, 3-2, something like that, I think I'll quite happily take off the chin, put it around Matt Fallon's neck with a big smile on my face.
Excellent. Right, moving on. International, he's sat there. We've got pages and pages of questions of our international.
Can we all go home now then? Can we all go home now? Can we all go home now?
We'll go home now, just me and Ian now. So, you can all sit back, turn it off. The very first one, just to open this up, how are we getting on with RTI at the moment? What's the deal with our, everything that was going on previously about members over the age of 40 not being able to stand, and therefore our response was not to pay for those over 40, and it's gone to various votes around the world. It was quite complicated. Where are we with that at the moment? We're friends again.
We always have been friends. We may have had difference of opinions in the past, but it's going positive. A motion has been put forward for the World Meeting, hopefully to resolve it one way or the other. And it is positive. We're having every conversation now we have with the RTI board is positive. We as they've supported us with Walk with Will and then Check Your Balls. If they hated us that much, they would have put two fingers up to the community projects that we had. So they're certainly a lot more receptive. We're getting there, and the motion which was put forward, which was discussed at 2 AGMs ago, has been seconded by our friends in Cyprus. So it's all there, waiting to go. So. Okay. Hopefully we'll have a resolution. Well, we will have a resolution at the hybrid World Meeting.
Perfect. Great to get that sorted. Thank you for that. I've got another question here from Luke from HRT. I don't know what that is. Hensford, Holby. But anyway, any update on Travel Bingo?
Yeah, Travel Bingo will take place. It'll take place probably in the next 6 to 7 weeks. Any previous winners that couldn't go due to COVID, their places are honoured. We're doubling up on a lot of the ones that that should have gone 2 years ago, and they're doubling up as well. But we've added some new destinations as well. Holland and Italy is one of them. Mm-hmm. So Travel Bingo will take place. Basically, what Travel Bingo is that you get funded by the Overseas Association to turn up. You get your AGM paid for, you get your hotel paid for, but you've just got to pay to get there and your beer tokens or whatever you drink.
Perfect. So that sounds really, really good. Another thing, one of the benefits of RTI is their Table of World website. Now, we've obviously had a few issues with joining onto that ourselves, GDPR problems, I believe it was in the past that we discussed. And but I know as individual members we can join and pay a $5 and be on the Table of World website. And where are we with that at the moment? We've got an update on that. I think Steve, you know a little bit about that. Is that...
Yeah, so it was something, and members may have seen it on the board plan for this year. It was a project that we started last year to look at a long-term solution or mid-term solution to the existing members site. My predecessor Mike Round had a good look at Table of World at the time. It wasn't right at that time, and we wanted to be assured in terms of GDPR and data, etc. So behind the scenes over the course of the past year, we've been working with RTI and the OV Foundation that run that for RTI, just to explore the art of the possible, because there's no doubt that for those that do use Table of World, it is a really good system that has been built by tablers for tablers. It has an app as well that people can use. There's over 20,000 tablers worldwide, I think, using it. And we got to a point at the start of this year where we thought we had a solution that could work. There is some cost associated with the association moving to Table of World. Paul Thompson and I tried to negotiate that as best we could to get the right number, and actually RTI have agreed to part subsidise some of that to get us on board. They want us to join. You know, as Ian said, we're all friends. You know, they want us involved in RTI. And so there was a motion that the board had made a decision some time ago to support that, and it goes back to your question earlier, or the question earlier on about projects and surpluses, etc., that we think now is the time to start to work on that. So we put a proposal to the National Council back in June. That was unanimously supported. There was a long debate about the whys and wherefores of moving to Table of World, but in the end that was unanimously supported by the regional reps that we should do that or explore that. So we're in the process of finalising contracts. I've got a working group that have established with volunteers that are going to test Table of World. We've set a target of getting it ready for RTBI by December, and that looks achievable. There are some questions about some of the updates to the system, such as our policy about dual table membership. You know, that's quite a significant change to the Table World IT infrastructure. So it's quite a lot of cost for a limited number of members that enjoy dual table membership. So there's a way to go, but we think it's looking positive, and the view is that if we can get that, test it, make sure it works, it could be a great opportunity to improve communication and contact across RTI and within RTBI. So all being well, by this time, AMR time next year, we'll be moving to Table of World.
Perfect. No, thank you for that answer. Yeah, just saying good night to the baby crying away behind there. So nice to see that gone.
I think it's also probably quite nice talking about all things RTI to congratulate Matty Matson, who's a Finnish roundtabler for bronze medal, I think, wasn't it? And a men's 200 breaststroke swimming in the Olympic Games. So yeah, not all tablers are built like us. So congratulations, Matty.
Got to get into NSW. Yeah, I think I've got to crowbar it in here somewhere, but actually, no, I'll do that in a minute. So, Ryan, the last few questions, don't worry, we're not going to go on forever. But roundtable question time is a great idea for communicating with members. And one of the issues sometimes when you speak to tablers is it's the lack of communication. But I'm thinking, well, you get emails, you've got Facebook, you've got the phone calls, you know, what else can we do? One person, a Mark from Area 36, and PT touched on this earlier on. He says, have you heard of the Area 36 podcast? First thing first, any feedback on it? What do you think? But his main thing is, do you think that podcasts such as theirs could offer an alternative to Facebook, a way to, well, your words earlier was to excite members as well as give them information. You know, we have Tuesday Tabler, which is great, tell us all about what's going in the table. Maybe adding a podcast onto that can excite the members on top of it. Any thoughts on having a podcast, communication? If Liam wants to take that, being as I don't know if communication and the media, but anyone got any thoughts on a podcast?
Yeah, I think it's a great idea. More than happy to support the guys in their endeavour. I think the main thing with any podcast is regularity and content that people want to listen to, be that members and perspectives. But yeah, I think it's a great idea.
Perfect. Is that something you think it would be good to take up under your as part of a national strategy, or is it something to say, yeah, well, Area 36 are doing it well. Keep on at it.
Yeah, if they're nailing it, more than happy to support. But with any kind of production like that, you need to have a core team just solely focused on that. Because if you start spreading yourself too thin, then it's going to fall apart very, very quickly.
Yeah.
And the reality is, Paul, is that the Area 36 are now running that in association with the National Association of Roundtables. So George Stewart, who's our National Programme Officer, we felt that felt very much as a programme, programme both ways, both as content, but also in activity. So George is working very closely with those boys to make sure that there is content that comes backwards and forwards. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, George, and how that fits in with the work that you're delivering this year.
Yeah, so we've commissioned them essentially to do some podcasts for us. They've just released one around the world record attempt that the Area 33 guys did. Bonfire's a way to come up as well. What was the words they used? Multi-channel marketing or multi-channel communications. Liam, is that right? Is that the right term?
Multi-level marketing, is it?
Something like that. So yeah, it'll be a great complement to things like Tuesday Tabler and the magazine. The more different channels we can use to communicate is good. So yeah, it's available on Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. So
you never know, at this rate we might have a TikTok account soon.
Yeah, hanging on those playgrounds, but yeah, absolutely. You never know what's going to happen there. One thing I wanted just to put in here, it's not a meeting without DJ jumping in here. Now, his question, you pretty much the whole question time is answering his question.
Is the whole question geared to promoting Birdman?
It's not, funny enough, it isn't. It's just about how are you lot planning to make the most of this year. But I think, within all those questions, you've talked about what's going to be planned on this year. Don't know if anyone wants to add anything to that, but he's also put on, have you missed him? DJ wants to know, have you missed him? Not being on council after 3 years? No?
Do you know what, Paul, right? I'll go straight in there. Mm-hmm. I am missing DJ, okay? I was driving to Saffron Walden recently, and halfway down the A1M, thought to myself, do you know what? I just need a little bit of a DJ fix. So I gave him a call as he was out spreading tickets and misery around the Ilfracombe and North Devon area, issuing out penalty tickets to people. And as he was taking great excitement of putting a ticket on a scaffolder's van, and it sounded like he was about to get thumped for doing so, it cheered me right up. Yeah. So thanks. But you know what? I struggle some days to get through a day with speaking to tablers and chairman without DJ being mentioned. And it's happened again today, speaking to somebody and his name got mentioned. So it just goes to show you that, how a little character, a little lovable rogue on the southwest coast has managed to infiltrate and cause just a little itch all the way up and down the country, a bit like scabies or something.
Could we just have some clarity though, Mr. President, that he gave you great pleasure because A, you spoke to him, or B, you're just about to get thumped. Or both.
Of course, Mr. Immediate Past President, it was because I spoke to him.
Right.
Yes, please. Sorry, dinner. Right. Anyway, we've reached that time of the day where we've had all the questions we can. We're eager to get off and have our dinner. I'm getting mine cooked in there, which is fantastic. Just one of the worries from one of the national board, well, I don't think it's national, is it Chris from Jewellery Quarter Round Table was concerned earlier, the quality of questions tonight. and he was quite worried it was going to be a bit rubbish. So he sent in his own question that we're going to finish up on here. We're just interested to know what is the board's ideas of a perfect Sunday? His was watching the rugby before it all turned up, but yeah, just in case the quality of the questions had slacked during this, at least we got that one quality one in there.
I'll give you a cheesy one, Paul. Right? Genuinely, it was about 4 or 5 Sundays ago. Ringing people who are just starting to embark on their roundtable journey, speaking to guys in their 18s and in their early 20s who've got 20 years of great experiences and memories ahead of them. Feeling somewhat jealous of them, to be honest, as I'm coming towards the end of my table career. And just listen to how excited they were and how enthusiastic they were. And it led to me being invited to Bushing and Oxley roundtable just near Luton, Watford area, and meeting a great bunch of guys. Probably one of our youngest tables across the country, with an average age of only 24, and just meeting some guys who were just genuinely buzzing for roundtable, and that's how I spend an enjoyable Sunday at the minute.
Perfect. No, thank you for that, Paul. No, thank you for everyone for tonight. It's been a great evening to have a chat and find out your thoughts on different things. People watching there, if you want to send us some questions for the next question time, it's roundtablequestiontime@gmail.com. I'm happy for you to message me as well if you want it. I'll be doing the next, this one and 3 more, as it's the quarterly one. So get in touch if there's anything you want to let me know and feedback. That'd be great. But no, on behalf of us all, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Paul, just before you cut off, can I just say a big round of applause for you, Paul, for a job very well done today.
Oh, thank you very much.
Very well done. We had absolute confidence. Well done, Paul.
What's for dinner, Paul?
Did you like my sign language? Everyone says, watch out for my sign language all the way through. That's just how I talk. But
what's
I'd like to know what's for dinner.
Cajun chicken wrap. We had a big dinner at Rodizio Rico in Birmingham today, which is all you can eat meat. They keep coming up to the table, and as you know, I see that as a challenge. And yes, I'm quite full, but I thought I'd have a late night stack. There we go.
And Paul, do you know what the maximum airspeed is for an unladen swallow?
Is it 58 miles per hour?
I think only the Monty Python. Only
African or European.
Only the Monty Python fans know the real answer.
No, I'm a fan of swallows, but I'm not too sure, to be honest.
Sorry, swallows or swallows.
Yeah, either.
That's I think that's Paul's favourite Sunday sorted.
Absolutely, yeah. Like a swallow on a Sunday. Right, I think we better stop there anyway. Thanks for watching, everyone. Good night.